What if the path to a joyful, energized life isn't just about what you eat or how often you work out, but about healing your entire self, body, mind, and spirit?
Today, we're talking with someone who helps women to do exactly that. She's combining science, scripture, and soul care to help women move from burnout to breakthrough. Stick around. This conversation could change how you care and how you look at yourself forever.
I'm Natty,
I'm Veda,
and we are here to thrive.
This is the show where we have real conversations with real women who are healing, growing, and rising into their purpose without shame and without apology.
Today's guest is someone powerful, faith rooted in the world of health and healing. We are thrilled to welcome Melissa, the founder of Holistic Health by Melissa.
Melissa is a board certified registered nurse and a holistic nurse coach. She offers personalized coaching, functional lab testing, and faith based strategies to help women overcome being chronically overwhelmed and emotionally burdened.
From free community support to transformative self paced courses, Melissa is on a mission to help women step into the life God designed for them, whole, joyful, and aligned. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy for you to be here with us. Let's dive into this conversation about what it really means to heal holistically and how faith and science can work together in powerful ways.
So, Melissa, what led you from traditional nursing into holistic health coaching?
Yeah, that's a long story. Do you have all day? No. Yeah, the long and short of it is that basically my career, I've been a nurse for 15 years. I got licensed in 2010 and quickly realized that while I do see that model as benefiting us and as a society and individuals in certain ways, by and large it just wasn't supportive to overall health, and I didn't feel really aligned with the whole model, the whole system, which is like kind of frankly like this chemical carousel, like a pill for every ill, not addressing the root cause of illness, which is diet and lifestyle, like just full stop. And I became very passionate about my own healing journey. I came from a really troubled childhood. My parents were addicted to drugs. They were abusive, like the whole nine. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood and young adult life, and I became passionate about my own journey. Learned about nervous system regulation and stress management and all of the lifestyle strategies that I didn't get in traditional nursing. And that's kind of how I made the shift. I realized that the model just I wasn't aligned with that model, and I wanted to help people in a different way.
So you work with women specifically to heal from being emotionally drained and by the past. What patterns or experience do you see most often in the women that you coach?
So I think as a function of like my own past, I've gravitated towards women who have, or gravitated towards the work helping women who have trauma in their past. And when you work with women who have had trauma, we all have these like similar trauma responses and behaviors in throughout our life. So we tend to be people pleasers. We tend to be really hard, almost like impossibly hard on ourselves, we have super poor self-talk and really like erratic, almost unmanageable thoughts and emotions, where we can't really gather our thoughts. We feel overwhelmed just like day to day, unable to balance. I kind of hate that word because I feel like it's like abstract and like what is balance anyway, but like unable to manage just the stress of day-to-day life and parenting and living.
Why are you talking about me?
What no, say it.
I want to know. Where's the camera in my house? What are you talking about? She's been watching me.
I'm like, I know this person and they're sitting next to me, so I didn't want to be obvious and I go.
There's some water sprinkling over there too, but I'll let it be. But that's a lot of me in there.
Yeah.
Same.
Us were traumatized as children.
Yeah.
Can take over your life.
Yeah.
Has. And I start coming from under it. Such a good feeling to be free.
Yeah.
It wasn't until actually I started this podcast that I started working on the self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is
Mm-hmm.
my I don't know what the word would be, but expectations of me are way higher than probably God has for me.
And that, you know, when you talk down to yourself,
that's the self-talk. Yeah.
that I have to get on her.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
I've gotten a
don't
lot
wait.
better.
I do it right then and
Yeah.
there. Needs to see what you're doing. Is doing and what she's saying. I'm like, no, don't.
I've gotten way
Much
better, but it's a work in progress.
Yes, it
and
is.
I spent years path. So as I was hearing what she was saying, I'm like, but I had just met this woman.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. So many women struggle with all of those same things. And, you know, myself, I've been on this journey for over 20 years, and that's really what it is. It's a journey. It's not a destination. It's not like there isn't a point at which you get to like where you just never like think or say something poorly about yourself, or you just like you've reached the Mecca. It's like you've healed. There's no more healing to be done. No. New level, new devil. There's constantly like new triggers, and it's just unraveling all of that and learning better next time, learning and growing. And you can reach a point at which like you just have a different relationship with it, but it never really goes away completely.
Did your faith shape your approach to healing and health?
My faith was, I think, the biggest like turning point for me is, you know, I mentioned my childhood was really traumatic when I was a teenager, when I was 15, after everything I dealt with my parents being abusive and addicted to drugs, and my dad left and never came back. And then when I was 15, there was a school shooting at my high school. I was friends with the shooter. It was really like indescribable, the terror and everything that came from all of that and the fallout afterwards. And then when I was 18, my brother, who was 5 years older than me, was killed traumatically right in front of me. So it was when I was in my early 20s, as you could imagine, from all this like stuff that I had been through in the previous 20 years, I was an absolute wreck. And I couldn't manage my emotions. I felt sick all the time. Like I was physically sick all the time. I started gaining weight. I was using drugs and alcohol to cope. I was just not well in every sense of the word. I started having physical symptoms like digestive issues and migraines and sleep disturbances, and you name it, I had it. I was on 7 different prescription medications by the time I was 23, and I was told that I was going to be on them forever. It was around that time, 2023, 24 timeframe, my now husband, then boyfriend, just reflected back to me that he thought that I seemed just wound up all the time. Like if you could just calm down, you would feel so much better. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Thanks for that.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, how do I do that? And he's like, I don't know, like maybe, have you ever tried meditation? And so I kind of dove headfirst into learning about meditation. And now, knowing what I know now, like meditation is not really ever the first step that I recommend for someone, because meditation is actually quite challenging in a lot of different ways. But for me, I think it was God's intervention. Like it worked for me. And as I began to meditate and just really like began to understand my own thought life and like what was going on inside, I was able to feel a sense of calm in my mind and my body for the first time ever in my whole life. And by this time, I'm like 25 years old, you know? And when I started to meditate, I started to hear from the Lord. I did not know him before that happened. I did not grow up in the church. In fact, it was quite the opposite. My mom was like often looked for opportunities to tell us how God was not real. And yeah, I started to hear from the Lord. And then when I was 10 years ago, when I was going to be 30, I met my dear, dear friend, Elisa Blanchard. I've interviewed her on my podcast and told this story, but her and I had a conversation. Our lives just kind of aligned. We had a lot of similarities. We were instantly drawn to each other. And she said something about like, I'm going to go home and read the Bible tonight or something. And I said, oh, you read the Bible? And she said, yeah. Do you want to read the Bible with me? And I was like, I would love to read the Bible with you. And so that's how I came to like understand that I was actually hearing from the Lord. And she introduced me to the Bible. I didn't own a Bible. I didn't know how to read the Bible. Knew nothing. I knew no scripture. I knew nothing. And so once I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, my whole life transformed. Like my healing just exponentially like increased, and I've never looked back. It doesn't mean that there aren't hard times, and like I don't often like revert back to those old patterns, right? It's a journey, not a destination. So I'm still like unraveling things, and new level, new devil. It's something happens and I'm like, oh dang, like where'd that come from? Okay, I remember that when I was 7 years old, when, blah, blah, blah. And but yeah, the Lord's mercy and grace has blessed me beyond measure. And now I use that and like biblical foundations and scripture to help women also heal themselves and realize like their inheritance and the truth about who they are. They are daughter of the King and all the things, all the good things.
Definitely. Use both functional lab testing and biblical principles in your coaching. How do those work together in practice?
Yeah. So the Bible tells us who we are, right? Like the truth comes back. The truth is there. Like I've heard people say before, like, oh, I just wish I had a manual for life. I'm like, we do have a manual for life. It's called the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called the Bible. And so that's like the foundation of like how you should live your life, how you should show up for yourself and other people. And the functional lab testing kind of just helps us identify when we have these traumas. And trauma is not the event. It's not the event itself. It's what happens inside of you as a result of the event. So whenever some sort of traumatic event happens to us, if we are, with the events that have the high emotionality, when we're going through them alone, that's when trauma happens. That's like right where trauma is created. High emotionality, going through it alone. So that's why like childhood abuse, childhood neglect, like those things, because you feel like you're alone. You rely on your parents, but you can't actually rely on them because a lot of times like they're obviously the one that's causing the harm. When you are So trauma is just one of the ways that in which the God-given balance in your body can be disturbed or disrupted, right? There's all kinds of toxins, physical, chemical, and emotional toxins. It's our thought life, it's the food we eat, it's the air we're breathing, the chemicals in our water, the prescriptions that we're taking, it's all these different things. All of those things can cause an imbalance in the God-given inherent balance that exists already in our body. Like he designed us to be balanced and to heal from the inside out. Like think about when you cut your hand, like you don't tell your hand to heal, it just heals. Like I believe our internal environment is the same and it's perfectly capable of doing that. But the problem is we have all these toxins, physical, chemical, and emotional, that are creating inflammation and making it more difficult for our body to restore that natural balance. So the functional labs help us identify the areas where those physical, chemical, and emotional toxins are causing the imbalance. So we can work specifically with those areas to restore the balance that exists already, and then use that biblical like philosophy and that scripture to help root us back into truth. I find so much of what I deal with, like people will complain about the physical symptoms like, oh, I have fatigue, I have sleep problems, I have GI issues, I have skin rashes, whatever it is, joint pain, things like that. But really, it's all roots back to nervous system dysregulation as a result of our thought life and our just emotions taking off with us, and us not going back to the truth of the word.
One of the things we usually talk about a lot is trauma, just the chemistry of the brain. How sometimes people think that we need to pray, yeah, we need to read the word, yeah, we need to be in the presence of the Lord. And yes, the Lord can just look at you and heal you immediately. Or sometimes that is a journey and it doesn't happen overnight. And why sometimes mental health treatment is needed. Yeah, I believe it needs to be faith based, especially if we are believers. It's needed because we need to heal from those wounds so that we can actually achieve the balance again. Sometimes, yeah, we need help from a medication for some time or for whatever. Something that needs to be addressed. Not like, okay, I'm going to read my Bible every day and not look at that thing that's bothering me and that toxicity
Mm-hmm.
that's in there, and poof, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
go away.
Mm-hmm.
Is, I think, the misconception that, just like say about diabetes, you need to get your blood sugar under control, insulin resistance under control so that the diabetes can go away. I think that the brain is not much different. It's
Yeah.
not much different than that.
Yeah.
Mm. And I think that people don't understand also, and I love how you talk about trauma, how trauma, unforgiveness, emotions can affect our physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Our emotional health has a direct impact on our physical health. I don't think people make that correlation.
I agree.
Talk about that. How does unresolved emotional wounds impact our physical health? You
Yeah.
know better than we do.
Yeah, that's exact. I mean, I just kind of touched on it a moment ago. It's like your emotional health. If you have these trauma responses, like you said, like this, a traumatic event actually changes the structure of your brain. Like it changes how your brain operates, and I equate it to, I forget where you guys live. Remind me where you live. Georgia. Okay, so you guys don't get a whole lot of snow. I live in Colorado. We have snow, right? So I use this snow analogy a lot. But like if you're walking through like 12 inches of snow, you guys can probably, I mean, even if you've never walked through snow, you can probably imagine like what it's like
So snow this last year.
last year. Okay, probably not 12
Oh,
inches, but yeah.
together in those 2 days.
So
I
if
was able
you're
to fall on it twice.
Definitely.
nothing like it, right? Yeah. So if you're walking through, snow or like a dense field with weeds everywhere or something, like either analogy works. With the first time you walk through it, it's kind of like, where's that path? Like you can't quite see the footsteps. And then the second time, if you walk through the same path, like it becomes more and more clear, right? Like the snow's going to get packed down, the weeds are going to get packed down. Before you know it, you're like, oh, there's the path right there. Our brain works the same way. So if you use a path more frequently, you're going to go down that path more easily, right? Like there's less resistance, you're going to go down that path versus, and that's like, you can use that, extrapolate that out to think about like trauma responses. When you're told over and over again as a kid, like maybe your parents are kind of like disregard your feelings or your desires or something, like, oh no, we're not doing that. Like, and there's a time and a place, and I'm not a parenting expert, so like
I
I'm not gonna
understand. Yeah, sometimes
but
we
like
have to say no.
right, exactly. Sometimes you have to say no, right? But like if your parents are repeatedly like disregarding you, you actually learn that your opinion doesn't matter and you learn to self-abandon. So, in that situation where you're standing like in a field where there's like, 2 feet of those weeds, if you choose to go this way and you're self-abandoning yourself because you're going to do something that's going to make other people comfortable, then you're going to keep doing that. You're going to keep making other people comfortable over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, if you become aware of it and you're like, if I go the other path, Like, I don't actually know where that path is, but like, this is the path that's true to me. This is me not abandoning myself. This is me choosing myself and not people pleasing, because that's not helping anybody. It's going to be hard at first, but eventually, as you start to walk through it, you'll start to see that path more and more clearly, just like, and then the other one will start to overgrow, right? So that's the idea of like neuroplasticity. Your brain is malleable. It actually changes structure. It changes, the neurons can change in the way they fire. Neurons that fire together wire together. So if you're using a certain pathway in your brain, that Dr. Caroline Leaf does a ton of beautiful work on neuroplasticity. And she's much more eloquent than me, but that's that idea that your brain can actually change physically as a result of your thoughts, right? Like your neurons are sending messages through your brain. Your emotional health, like if you are thinking poorly about yourself or you think you're not worthy, and I believe personally that like all of the symptoms that we see physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in women, especially in this, technological revolution that we're living in 2025, all stems from disconnection from ourselves, from God, and an underlying feeling of unworthiness. Like we don't believe that we're worth it because we've heard the narrative from our parents, from society, from all of the different, you name it, we've heard it from them. And we believe that ourselves, and we start to tell ourselves that. And then what you look for, you find. So if you believe you're unworthy, then you're going to actually see that you're unworthy everywhere you look until you start looking for something different. When you have those thoughts and you have those repeated trauma responses, it actually creates inflammation inside of your body, microinflammation.
See if I something. So what you're saying is same way, and I'm trying to probably define neuroplasticity in my head. Same way our brain changes through trauma and through all the negative stuff, it kind of rewire itself through the healing process.
Yep.
Looking at the word of God of who we are and our worthiness, and change the self-talk, that brain structure can go back into the way it's supposed to be.
100%. Neuroplasticity, I just looked up the definition, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. So it's just like the brain's ability to adapt and change structurally.
That's awesome.
Example, his mother had a traumatic brain injury. Woke up at total amnesia. He didn't even know who he was. Only knew me because when he was in a coma for 7 days, spoke in his ear every day, reminded him of our childhood, good things. So when he woke up, the nurse said, "Do you know who this is?" And he said, "Yes, Veda." He said, "What is your name?" No, she called Lee. Looked at her. He said, "Who is that?" She said, "That's you." He lost thing. He was even paralyzed. I saw his brain regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
I walked with him through the healing process. I saw his brain regenerate. I promise you, the person that he was before he got hurt, now I wake up as that person. Woke up as a totally different person.
Good way.
In a good way, more caring and, conscious, and just, I had not seen it, believe it. Saw it myself. So I saw that neuroplasty, saw that regeneration.
Yeah.
And you're not including that you just said he couldn't remember anything, he couldn't even walk. Right now he lives independently. He can do the job he used to, but he's basically working every day. He cleans, he manages his life, he drives. I mean, you could not tell that he went through that.
So beautiful. I think the brain is so fascinating. And we understand this, like, a fraction of the like beauty and possibility that exists within our brain.
They say that maybe 10% of our brain, our whole life. That means the 80% is waiting for us to tap into it. Yeah.
So let's talk about the spiritual piece. How can women reconnect with God or connect to God as part of their healing process?
Yeah, I love that question. So I focus a lot on the mind-body connection and helping women reestablish that. Because I think, like I said, so much of the symptoms that we have today are a direct result of our disconnection from ourselves and from God. The bridge between the mind and the body is the breath. That's the bridge. And when you can just slow down and breathe, it sounds so simple, but it's so transformational. Like, because we spend so much time living in our heads and like in this, fast pace, like go, go, go. Johnny's got to go to soccer practice and I got to get groceries and I got to do this and I got to record the podcast and I got, and we're not even really conscious of so many of the thoughts that we have day to day. And we don't know how those are actually making us feel inside of our body. So if we just slow down for a second and just take a couple breaths. So the bridge between the mind and the body is the breath. And I believe that it's on that bridge where our relationship with Jesus exists. So for me personally, like that's where I hear him most clearly. That's where my relationship with him is the deepest, is when I'm still and silent and connected to my body through breath. And then Jesus is right there.
How does community play in all this? And tell us about your free community membership.
Yeah, so I think community is a big piece because trauma has a twisted, sick way of making us feel so isolated and alone. Also, as women, like we spend so much time just living in our heads and thinking about all the things that we have to do. We don't have a community of other women who are like, I've been there. I'm going through something too. Like, this is going to get better. Here's what I did. Like, a lot of women don't have that support. And I think community proves to us that we're not alone, that we're not going through this, on a deserted island by ourselves. Everybody has been through some trauma, whether you want to admit it or not. Like, everybody has their own trauma, and just having that like group of people that makes you not feel so alone, I think creates an environment in which you can see your own potential. So yeah, I have a free Facebook community. It's called Holistic Wellness Circle. It's free to join. I do lots of different like activities and challenges in there. So like I'll do mindfulness challenges. I have free resources. I offer free master classes, just engagement and community and support.
First thing that can happen, the enemy wants you to be isolated. I truly believe in an accountability partner. Keep each other accountable. Not always.
I was going to say pretty.
Not always pretty. And love each other enough to let the other one stay where they are. When we know that's not where we're supposed to be. The past has a way of coming back in. Oh my God. Least expected. Boom. It just hits you. Healing from trauma and healing from the past is not getting about it and through it and helping someone else go through it too. Isolation is bad. It's bad. Because while you by yourself, the Bible talks about it takes two, cord that they make, they're stronger together when you're apart.
Yeah.
I guess about 9 years ago, healing really took off. Fortunately, after my mom died. I had to make a decision. Either this is going to drive me crazy. I got to heal and rise from this. It was really hard. I do know exactly when my transformation started, when my deliverance from my trauma as a child. I woke up, I was 350 pounds. I had to think about, where did all this weight come from? I come from both sides of the family, voluptuous women, just mine.
Eating.
Mine was emotional because I was a child. I realized that the bigger I got, the less interested my master was in me.
That's a very common story.
So to keep them from looking at me that way again.
Yep. You put weight on. Yep.
Didn't realize what I was doing then.
Yeah.
When I look back on it, okay, yeah. And being a people pleaser. Sure that wherever I was, there was harmony, trying to fix everything that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, but I left my own self.
Abandon yourself, yeah.
Myself. I did.
Yeah.
Now I've lost 100 pounds.
Good job.
100 pounds, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Good for you.
But as a woman, I have to realize that things can crawl up on us. They can come back on us. Don't even realize. Act in a certain way. Who's acting like this? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I going through this? That's because trauma is trying to crawl back up on me.
Yeah.
Really,
100%.
we got to be aware.
100%. Yeah.
Paranoid, but we have to be aware.
Yeah.
When it starts coming, I let know you have no place here. Okay, you don't live here anymore. Okay? No, it's not even a new owner for that house down and built a whole brand new house. So there's no place for you in here.
Yeah. Yeah. Awareness is always the first step. Always the first step. Because if you're not aware of it, like there's nothing you can do. Once you become aware of it, that's when you have the agency to change it.
Change of topic in a way. You talked about inflammation. Actually, last night reading about certain conditions and how a lot of them related to inflammation in the joints, inflammation of organs.
All of them.
That's what I was reading.
Yeah.
From the actual nutritional and probably physical way, kind of things we can avoid or should do more to better in terms of our physical health and avoid or get better with those inflammations.
Yeah. So 5 things as far as nutrition. Fermented foods. So we're talking like sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that have like probiotics and prebiotics and probiotics in them.
Good or bad?
Good. These are the 5 things you want to do. So fermented foods, phytonutrients. So like eating phytonutrients is like the nutrient profile of any different type of food. People have said before, like, oh, just eat the rainbow every day. So like when you're talking like fruits and vegetables, like eating the rainbow every single day.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know about you, but like the idea of eating the rainbow every day is like, seems impossible to me. Like that's so difficult. So I say eat the rainbow every week. Make note of what you're eating and try to eat the rainbow every single week. Try to eat some red foods, some orange foods, some yellow foods, some green, some blue, some purple, and brown and yellow, or brown and white as well. And then so fermented food, phytonutrients. So like different types of foods, like red strawberries have different nutrient profile and offer different types of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, that sorts of thing, than blueberries or radishes or green bell peppers or Like, so getting a variety of phytonutrients, a variety of food, eating the rainbow every single week is going to give your body the nutrients that it needs to, what's the word I'm looking for? Do every chemical reaction inside of our body, to proceed with every chemical reaction that we have inside of our body, like 1,000 times a minute, all the time, right? Third thing is water. So making sure that you're getting half your body weight in ounces of water per day, because it's almost
Out
like
of water.
Yeah.
You knew you were waiting. She was. She knows me.
We need those 5 gallons.
A lot of water.
Yeah.
Half your body.
Yeah.
Not a
Half
third.
your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half your
So
body
if
weight.
you weigh 100 pounds, you need 50 ounces? Yeah, it's not 50 cups, it's 50 ounces.
Ounces. It's a lot of water. Yeah.
So if you're 100 pounds, you need 50 ounces. That's almost like that 62 bottle water that I tried to chug in one day.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit over 200, 100 pounds. So I need to do my calculations again.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. You need water. Like we are primarily water.
And we are very
water.
dehydrated.
Yes.
Yes. And we are chronically dehydrated, which leads to massive problems with your gut health. And your gut microbiome actually is responsible for your, like, over 85% of your neurotransmitters, all of your serotonin. It's responsible for your immune health. It's responsible for, like, literally everything. Like, the gut microbiome inside of your gut is like an ecosystem. And we need to nourish and nurture that ecosystem. And if you're dehydrated and not getting the nutrients that you need, then it's going to be imbalanced. And then you're going to have symptoms. It's going to create inflammation. You're going to have symptoms. So fermented food, phytonutrients, water, fiber. So this is kind of like phytonutrients. So focusing on fiber, that's your gut microbiome. It's like the microbiome. It's actually like bugs. It's bacteria. Like we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. We have a whole ecosystem of good bacteria that exists all over our body, on our skin, in our mouth, in our gut, in our lady parts. Like it's supposed to be there. It's good. It keeps things balanced. It keeps the bad bacteria from overgrowing or taking over and getting a massive infection. So fiber is what the good bacteria eats. That's what they feed on. Fiber is found in fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. Most people don't eat fruits and vegetables. So this is just like goes hand in hand with the phytonutrients, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not getting phytonutrients from like a box of cereal. You're getting phytonutrients from like fresh fruits and vegetables. And then the last thing, stress management. Those are the 5 things that I try to like help people with. Like people will say protein too, like this. You could say that's maybe the 6th thing.
The first thing I read was stay away from red meat, and I said, I don't need that advice.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all.
I'm not giving up my steak for chicken.
No, you don't want to eat a steak every single day. But like,
yeah. She's rolling like that.
Yeah. I can't afford. I wish I could, but I can't afford to eat a steak every day. But
but I think red meat's important.
Said, the devil is a liar. Let me eat something else.
Yeah. We need to have variety, and we need to focus on so like you could go dive even deeper. Like if you're focusing on fiber and phytonutrients, like that's not going to leave a whole lot, and getting 100 or half your body weight of ounces of water per day, you're not going to have a whole lot of room for like hot, like sugar, ultra processed foods. Like staying away from sugar and ultra processed foods is going to serve you. Sugar is inherently addictive, and they make it that way. Ultra processed food is inherently addictive. They make it that way. It's an industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's meant to keep you addicted. And the sooner you can break away from that stuff and focus on like the foundations, I always say the foundations of health are always the foundations. If you go back to, did it grow in the ground or does it have a mother? You could probably eat it.
Remember, one of the 10,000, every woman has done a whole bunch of diets and stuff. And I remember when I tried to go absolutely sugar free, and there were two things I discovered. There is stuff that has no business having sugar in it, but when you read the ingredients, it has sugar. I don't understand why. Well, I do, but you know what I mean.
Addiction, yeah.
Right. The other thing is,
it's on purpose.
Actually, I don't know if it was a podcast or something I was listening to, that they were explaining the history of how they came up with making sugar an addiction, because they realized that it will bring people for more, and it was something that they could give kids without it being illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like more addictive than cocaine.
So that the withdrawal sugar painful.
And then if you give everybody a lot of sugar, you also create lifelong patients, because you create this massive inflammation in their body, you create dysregulation in their nervous system, you create symptoms, physical symptoms that require pills to counteract those symptoms, and then you create lifelong patients. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes is the perfect example. Like, your doctor will never tell you type 2 diabetes is curable with diet and exercise. There is no pill that cures diabetes or heart disease, or like nothing, no pills cure diseases. They don't cure the disease. The only thing that does that is diet and lifestyle. Woo! Fire.
That's right. Yes. Melissa, you offer self-paced courses and personalized coaching. Can you walk us through what someone might experience in each one of these?
Yeah, so the transformation really happens when people become aware and learn about themselves, and then integrate that knowledge. So that's my goal, is to help women. I also work with men, but I primarily work with women and children, to help them learn about themselves so that they can heal from the inside out. And ultimately, like what you said at the very beginning, is the goal is freedom. It's a hard road. It's an emotional road. Like, some people just aren't meant to understand this work, and some people aren't willing to do the work themselves, and that's okay. Maybe they will. I bless them and I pray for them, and I hope that everybody wants this work at some point in their lives, because on the other side of it, it is so hard to stare your demons in the face, stare those traumas in the face, and say, how is this affecting me? How can I improve myself in spite of this? How can I sit with the emotion? How can I release it out of my body and move forward? Like you said, we're not forgetting about it. We're not just brushing it under the rug. We're actually moving forward in spite of it. We're not letting it hold us back anymore. We're not letting we're not letting ourselves stand in our own way. And there's so much freedom on the other side of that. So that's what you can expect working with me in any capacity, whether it's through my free masterclasses on my website, through my high touch 6-month one-on-one program, it's just anything in between. My goal for everybody I work with is freedom from their past. I want you to feel empowered to make the decisions that are right for you, to feel rooted. My program is called Rooted, Rewired, and Restored. And that's really the goal, what I hope to help every woman achieve.
Some of the biggest misconceptions on holistic healing.
That it's not possible, I think, is a lot of people think oh, that's just woo, people think that because they don't understand their nervous system and how their trauma response is, or I hear from people a lot oh, I don't have trauma. That didn't it doesn't, or they hear my story and they go, well, my story is not as bad as your story. So they think that their story is like insignificant and it's not affecting them and that it's not having any impact in their current reality. I think that's probably the biggest misconception. People don't understand, like you said earlier, your emotional health impacts your physical health so like greatly, and you can't separate them. You can't separate them.
Reminded me, I was at a conference and there was a psychiatrist who said, who does not have dysfunction in their life? He said, and those who didn't lift their hands up, they don't realize that if you have a belly button, you have dysfunction in your life. As well as dysfunctional.
Yeah. Yeah. I would go further and say, like, because you can, a lot of people have plastic surgery and like have tummy tucks and they actually don't have a belly button. You can actually remove the belly button.
Born with one, at least.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe if you were born with a belly button, or if like, I would say like, if you have a heart, if you have a, if you have a brain, you have dysfunction for sure. Cause like, that's what people say to me all the time. Like, oh, I don't have trauma. I'm like, no, you do. Like, you're born, you're alive, you're breathing right now. You have trauma. You just don't know it yet.
And what we fail to
I'll help
think
you figure
about
that out.
is,
What was that?
fail to think about is our first experience with trauma was coming into this world.
Oh yeah, the birth thing is
Very traumatic.
Yeah, the whole being born is traumatic alone.
So,
life is not perfect.
Exactly.
So either you have a child that you totally spoil, and the first time you say no to them, even though it's necessary, that's traumatic. If the first time they go and the kid hits them or bites them or whatever, that's traumatic. Have had a good life in whatever definition you call that. Might not have been abused as a child or whatever, but yeah, there is some kind of trauma somewhere. Had a teacher that did some stuff. I think people that may say they don't have trauma is because it's like of sin. People say, "Oh, my sin is different because I may said a lie. I didn't kill anybody." In the eyes of God, a sin and a murder is the same. That's where people don't understand. Because your trauma was not beaten or abused or like that doesn't mean that there's no trauma.
Right.
Yeah, I think that that's a function of the like work that we've seen in like the trauma space in the last like 20 years. Like I often speak about this whole foundation. Like trauma is not the event itself. Trauma is your body's response to the event. And any event can be traumatic. If it's highly emotional and you feel like you're processing it alone, those are the key indicators. That's where trauma happens. That's where it's formed. But the 20 years ago, when they started talking more about how trauma is impacting our health and how it can, shape your life and all of this, they started having a distinction between like big T trauma and little t trauma. I hate that distinction because I think that it perpetuates this feeling of inadequacy for people. Like I said, when I share my story, that's the almost 100% of the time, that's what I hear in response is like, oh, well, my trauma is not as bad as yours. And I'm like, no, it actually doesn't matter what the event is. Like I share my story because it's part of the story. And I want people to understand that it doesn't matter what your story is, that healing is always possible. But like your trauma could have been being fired from a job or having a teacher who, made fun of you in front of class one time. Like it doesn't, just because it happened only one time or it's a little t trauma doesn't mean that it's insignificant or that mine's worse or better or more than yours. It's just different. It is what it is. And it's all trauma. And it's how our body processed or didn't process that matters.
Reminded me of pastor was talking the other day. He's pretty decent life and whatnot, but he was preaching about that a teacher when he was little that he didn't realize how it had affected him throughout life. He third out of three. His parents had decided that when they got married they were only going to have 3 kids. Had I don't know if it was a stillborn or a miscarriage. before he was born, and then they had him. Teacher, they were, I don't know what the class was about, but I think it was like first or second grade, and said, "That's right, because you were not supposed to be here. Your parents were going to do 3 kids. If your brother had been born, you wouldn't be here." He realized how that traumatized him, in the sense of, like, I have no place here. So God didn't mean for me to be here. I was just an oops. And, he didn't realize until years later that that trauma had been making him feel unworthy, out of place. And it was one comment that one teacher made when he was like in first or second grade, and how that impacted his life. That somebody may say that's little T, but it was not for him. Yeah. So I agree with you. There's no little T or big T. Trauma's trauma. Infected you. Yeah. Let's deal with it. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. So what do you say about women listening who feel stuck and they believe that they're too far gone to claim their joy?
Yeah, you're never too far gone. Healing is always possible. I don't care what your story is, what the history is, what the doctor said, what your diagnosis is, where you're at right now. I don't care. None of it is significant in the fact that, like, healing is always possible.
Finally, how do you stay grounded and nourished while doing this deep transformative work?
Yeah, I use all the tools that I share with my clients all the time. The most important thing to me, first and foremost, is my relationship with Jesus Christ, or my Lord and Savior. So I prioritize that time and that relationship. I start every single day being in the Word of God, praying. I start by regulating my nervous system. So doing some deep breathing, doing some meditation. I practice those techniques throughout the day, every single day. I align myself and my actions throughout the day with the version of the woman that I am always becoming. So I am always becoming something more, something better, an improved version. Melissa 2.0 is tomorrow. And then from today, Melissa's 2.0 is tomorrow. And I'm always trying to align my actions with that. So I think about that from the things that I eat, the way that I move my body, the words that come out of my mouth, the conversations that I have with clients, with friends, with my husband. I try to, it doesn't mean I'm perfect, because I'm far from that, of course, which is, thank God, I have Jesus who died on the cross for me, but I try every single day to align my actions with that woman who I am becoming.
Been so educational.
Yes.
I hope, this is my hope, that the people listening to us have learned half of what I have learned today, because it's been very educational for me. Appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. Your story is inspiring, and I'm about to make some changes.
And it's not just inspiring, it's life-giving.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I received that. Thank you.
To our listeners, not too broken, late, too much. Worthy of healing, worthy of peace.
Yes.
You are allowed to prioritize your whole self, your body, your mind, and your spirit.
That we will drop all Melissa's links in the show notes, how to join her free community and explore her coaching and access to her courses. But because not all our listeners have access to our show notes, can you tell us your website so our people on radio can actually get that information?
Sure. Yeah. My website is holistichealthbymelissa.com. And then that's where you can find me on all platforms. I'm on all social media platforms. I have a podcast, Holistic Health with Melissa, and with lots of juicy, good, amazing content. And you can find me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I have a free workshop coming up in August 18th, I think is the date. So that's Holistic Health by Melissa. You can click free workshop in the corner and it'll take you to that link. You can sign up, and tons of great information.
For being with us, and welcome to the Thrive family.
Yes.
Thank you.
Blessed day.
You too.
If this episode resonated with you, we'd love it if you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a sister who needs it. Healing happens in the community.
Remember that you can follow us on social media. We are at The Rising Muse on all platforms. Know that we're trying to get to 1,000 followers on YouTube, and only you can help us.
And remember, if you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 988. If you or someone, you know someone who's experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 911 or take them to the nearest emergency room. And if you think you're in a domestic violence relationship and need help, you can dial 800-799-7233 or text 887-888. Please make sure you are in a safe place when you're reaching out for help.
This is Thrive by the Rising Muse. Until next time, take care of your soul, speak life over your life, and keep rising. We'll see you soon, and
Don't forget to thrive.
Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.